With just 3 feature-length films under his belt, Jordan Peele has been one of the main contemporary filmmakers to help rejuvenate the horror genre and lead it down new and interesting paths. His social thrillers Get Out, Us, and Nope have expanded horror to new territories as his legend begins to grow. Let's break down the horror of Jordan Peele.
What is up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. It's spooky season, so we're getting into some horror episodes, and so we thought, why not talk about one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, horror director working today, Jordan Peele, who has rejuvenated the genre, come up with amazing ideas, and subverted expectations from cliches we've seen many times before. I would say of the 2010s, Jordan Peele is unquestionably one of, or could be, the best director to emerge in the 2010s. And I love his work, and we've been fans of his since Key and Peele. He's
Mad TV.
Mad TV.
What are you talking about? 2003, man.
He's a wonderful performer, and he turned into an even better writer and filmmaker. And the guy is just so talented and so multifaceted as an artist, comedian, and then now a storyteller. And I really do think that working in sketch comedy and making so many, essentially sketch comedy like Key and Peele, it's just a bunch of short films. You know what I mean? And you're trying to make an audience understand a story, characters, and make something happen in 5 to 6 minutes. And it seems like he learned so much from making so many basically short films. It turned him into an unbelievable filmmaker. And it's ironic because he's so funny, but from Keegan-Michael Key interviews, he said, Jordan Peele's always been obsessed with horror and watching weird movies and stuff. And so he wasn't surprised when his first foray into filmmaking was horror. And I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait for his 4th film. It's going to be one of the most anticipated films of 2026, and it can't get here soon enough, but I can't wait to chat about what he's done so far.
I mean, yeah, outside the perspective of those who know him, who would have thought that this guy who's been on sketch comedy shows since 2003, Mad TV back in the day, creates his own sketch comedy show with partner Keegan-Michael Key, who was also on Mad TV before then with Key and Peele, which runs from 2014 to 2016, and then Get Out in 2017, his directorial debut. Who would have thought that this guy, who's so funny, great comedic actor, great comedic mind, had such an obsession with horror and had such great ideas in his mind for horror films specifically. Obviously, Keanu, which he helped write,
his
is
first
a comedy.
Yeah, his first huge feature film.
It's a silly comedy.
Yeah. That's what I thought his career was going to be.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then Get Out was just such a shock in the best way possible to what this guy's capable of, because it's one of the best debut films for a director this century for sure. And Jordan Peele's impact on horror, like Andy said, in the 2010s and 20s has been immense. You know, his social thrillers, Get Out, which came out in 2017, Us in 2019, and then Nope most recently in 2022, have been really excellent films. I think Get Out is probably the best in his filmography, whereas Nope, I think, would be my favorite of his films. I think it's just so entertaining, and I love the spectacle filmmaking, and not just his impact on horror, but his impact on cinema in general, because Jordan Peele is in that camp of the Nolans, the Scorseses, the Tarantinos, who are adamant about film preservation, about theater survival, about shooting on film, shooting on IMAX 70mm film in his last film, IMAX 65mm, and showcasing it in 70mm in person, and just maintaining the philosophy that the most important aspect of the medium of movies is seeing it in theaters, if possible, on actual film, on actual celluloid, and how important that is to keeping the art form as pure as possible and as strong as possible, making sure it doesn't get diluted. Digital is incredible for sure, and there's so much great technology, but there's nothing comparative to film as of now.
We actually did a poll on Instagram for his 3 films to see what the favorites are. And
what we got?
With over 300 votes, we have Us in 3rd place with 14% of the votes, Nope in 2nd place with 22% of the votes, and then Get Out with a sizable victory of 64% of votes from our listeners.
That makes sense. Get Out is hands down his best movie. You know, it's pretty small in scope, a budget of $3 million. This gross was at over $300 million from Blumhouse. A massive, massive hit. Huge word of mouth sensation. I remember when this came out, we see pretty much every interesting looking horror movie, and we see a lot of films every year. And this was a movie that we didn't see opening weekend, but we were planning to see it. But then just the internet was ablaze with the word of mouth and reactions to this movie. So we were so excited to see it. We saw it at the Cinerama, the big dome in Hollywood. I remember the experience, to a full packed crowd, second weekend. Everyone was loving it, reacting and laughing at the same parts, the right jokes. We were all so intrigued by the concept of what this movie was from this really interesting trailer, which didn't really give anything away. And I think Jordan Peele just has such a unique voice in the horror genre. And, you know, compare him to his, I would say, his two main contemporaries right now with Ari Aster and Robert Eggers, who have both made 3 films. Obviously, Eggers' 4th film, Nosferatu, comes out Christmas Day, which you can't wait for. But I think these 3 directors right now are integral to the future of the horror genre, even though Ari's kind of, you know, left the genre slightly with his most recent film, Beau is Afraid. There's horror elements to it, more of a psychological thriller than anything.
I think that's a horror film for sure.
I wouldn't just put it in. I wouldn't
psychological horror.
Yeah, I guess psychological horror to an extent, a delve into madness for sure, like a lot of horror movies do. But, you know, these 3 guys with what they're bringing to the table every few years with their films are so important. Their unique voices are so different from each other. And I think that's why, for me, they're the 3 most integral to the future of horror right now.
Jordan Peele is also arguably the most important filmmaker in terms of black cinema and black stories. And what makes him so special is he doesn't write any stereotypes. He doesn't write any archetypes for his black characters. He doesn't do anything that Hollywood's been doing for so many decades. He just writes stories about people, and he's injecting his culture into his storytelling in fantastic ways. And so I think that he's really so significant in that space for filmmaking, and the future really is on his shoulders, and he's doing a wonderful job so far with spreading these kinds of cultures and telling black stories that aren't, you know, a certain stereotype of a black story that Hollywood loves.
And really just flipping the cliches on its head. For example, the final girl cliche in Get Out, he flips that completely on his head. The final girl ends up being the most villainous person in the movie, arguably. And then, you know, instead of the black guy always dying first, we have the black guy surviving, or the black character surviving, which is another trope that he flips on its head in all of his films.
And these are all genre movies. They're genre pictures, but he, again, subverts expectations. We have basically a home invasion slasher film with Us, but he puts his own spin on it. We have an alien UFO movie, puts his own spin on it. And then we have a psychological mystery, and he puts his own spin on it. I think that he has incredible ideas, but he also has a lot of visual motifs that he's always putting in his films, and really cool themes and ideas that he's sprinkling out in the narratives. There's a lot of subtext to what he's saying, and he's always like alluding to popular culture many times. So when you have the Hands Across America with Us, and then you have the first ever basically moving image with the black jockey riding a horse. And that's a theme that's constantly explored in Nope. And so I think that his ability to connect audiences to popular culture and really put the films as more than just a horror film, it's got something to say. You know what I mean? Each one of the films has something to say. And that's important to have subtext with your films, because that helps them live on. It helps rewatches, and it helps the films actually mean something to people. And he's really one of the best at it right now in the horror genre.
His movies are all hits. Again, Get Out made for a $3 million budget, $255 million at the global box office. Us, which came out in 2019, had a box office of $256 million. So he beat it by $1 million with a budget of $20 million. Damn. Another wildly huge success. Wow. And then Nope, I believe, is his lowest performer at the box office with a higher budget again, $68 million. Grossed $170 million at the box office globally. So all of his films have combined to gross over $600 million, which is so impressive for your first 3 feature films. That's absurd. That's really unheard of territory right there. And I guess you to think of anyone comparative to that, to breaking $500 million in the first 3 features, maybe the Wachowskis, because The Matrix and Matrix Reloaded were their second and third films.
Yeah.
But off the top of my head,
highly successful.
If you think of filmmakers whose movies are that successful that early, I don't know if it's ever been done before besides Jordan Peele. It's so rare because he's got such mass appeal to his stories, and I think people of all backgrounds connect to his movies no matter what.
He really has become Universal's new guy.
Yeah, like Spielberg's the new Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly. Spielberg has been with Universal forever. I mean, he's made films with other studios before, but he is he's been Universal's guy for a while.
Because Blumhouse is part of Universal.
So yeah, they're partnered together. And Jordan is like, and I like to think of him as like, he's an up and coming like Spielberg figure for the Universal studio. And I think that his stories are so incredible. And I love writer directors. I really have a special place in my heart for writer directors.
Why don't you marry them, Anthony?
I wish I could. Jordan. Oh, he's already married.
Already.
He's already married. Next time, maybe in another life, Jordan. No, but I think that writing, directing is really difficult, and it's even harder to get to do a good job at it. What makes him really special is everything he does is an original idea. He never does the same movie twice, and I doubt he ever will. I think he's a director who has no interest in repeating himself, who has no interest in telling the same kind of story. Yes, he loves the horror genre, but all of his films are wildly different, and they tell wildly different stories, and the characters are so well formed, and the acting is always phenomenal. And I just think that I'm really excited for his career. The next 40 years of Jordan Peele films, we're just going to get great movies. And there are some filmmakers where it's like they're always going to make good movies. You know what I mean? That's a certain level of director where what they make is always good. Not everyone's like that. But we have a bunch of emerging ones, like the few you mentioned earlier. Damien Chazelle is never going to make a bad movie. They're just not. They can't make a bad movie. And Jordan Peele is one of those guys and gals. And so I can't wait to see what he has going forward. But he's also like, he really, in a way, brought Daniel Kaluuya to the world stage. He's an extremely talented actor. He's one of the best working today. Broke out with Skins.
Black Mirror. He's in a great episode of Black Mirror. But on the feature film stage, Get Out, man. What a performance. And that movie really works, not just because of the screenplay and what Jordan Peele brought to it, but he found someone really special at Kaluuya who tapped into exactly what he wanted to do. And he really carries that movie in an amazing way. And I love to see his performance in Nope, and he's expanded his career working with people like Steve McQueen and Widows. He's just really an incredible talent, and he's actually signed on for Peele's fourth film. So is Steven Yeun. So very excited to see what they have going for them. And then going with Lupita for Us, another phenomenal actor coming off her Oscar win, delivering one of the best performances ever in a horror movie, ever. She's so phenomenal, dynamic, and magnetic in Us playing these dual roles, whereas he likes to... he has Kaluuya, who he perfectly cast him as like a more of a kind of like the stoic lead in a way, especially in Nope. Sure.
Get Out too. Yeah, Get Out, a very relatable, everyman, every kind of guy that we can all relate to, and putting them into these with Get Out, putting them into the crazy situation imaginable. Because it's like he's reacting. The audience is reacting to how ridiculous Get Out situation is with Chris, and honestly, Get Out, I think, is one of the best films of the last 20 years. One of the best screenplays. It's just a phenomenal piece of work, and it was just like a jolt of energy in cinema and in horror. And it really comes down to this collaboration between these two fellas, and they're really phenomenal together, and I hope they keep making movies together. But he has an intrinsic way of connecting audiences to his characters. It's really phenomenal work all around.
Kaluuya is really special. I think he would have eventually found the spotlight somewhere. You know, he's in Sicario the year before Get Out. He's in Sicario in 2015. Really good role. He plays Emily Blunt's partner. And you can tell the guy had something. He had the sauce. He had the juice, whatever you want to call it, that actors have. He's magnetic in that film. He's comparable to when I saw Drive for the first time and saw Oscar Isaac. I'm like, who's this guy? I felt that way about Kaluuya in Sicario because I'd never seen him really before. I think I recognized him from that Black Mirror episode, which he's great in. So I think Kaluuya eventually would have found something, maybe more in English movies or in the UK, but I think he would have eventually found the spotlight. But I don't think if he didn't work with Jordan Peele for Get Out, he would never have created one of the most iconic horror characters ever. I mean, he's getting a statue built in England, right?
So Leicester Square, if you've been to Leicester Square, it's this huge square in London with 5 of the major movie theaters. It's a huge tourist spot as well as like a central location, lots of shops and stuff, but it's a huge area to explore, hang out, sit, and they have a lot of statues. I think they're bronze statues, and They're characters from British film or just famous movies or whatever, and pop culture. Like there's a Harry Potter statue. There's a bunch of other statues relating to the culture, iconic figures. And London asked their community to vote on what the next statue should be, and it's gonna be Chris sitting in the chair in Get Out. It'll be the next statue they put in Leicester Square. So he is going to be immortalized in England, which is very cool.
Is it going to be, I don't know if you know specifics, whether or not him in the chair when he's tied up before the TV screen, or is it when he goes into the sunken place for the first time after being hypnotized?
Him in the chair, strapped to it. So the poster of him
It's an awesome choice. Mm-hmm. That's a really awesome choice because it's such an iconic image in horror, contemporary horror right now. And, Jordan Peele, he's really mixing things up in cinema, in horror. And I think there's a lot of people that talk about, we think he rejuvenated horror. But did he redefine horror? Did Jordan Peele redefine horror movies? I think that might be a bit dramatic because he's only had 3 movies. And I think we need to wait for careers to develop more. It's not like we're saying Damien Chazelle has redefined dramas or music film. I don't think Ari Aster's redefined horror. I don't think Robert Eggers have redefined horror. I think they've all helped contribute to a total, combining all their work together might be redefining horror.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Rejuvenating horror, yes. Leading it in new directions, yes. But I think when people are this early in their careers, these 3 guys in horror, I think we need to let them cook. Let them get into the kitchen, let them mix up their food, toss it on the skillet, toss it on the grill, and enjoy their careers, because it's still early, and it's shocking to think that Jordan Peele has only made 3 movies, because Get Out feels like a century ago. It feels like it came out so long ago, and you would think he would have 5 movies, and there's about 6 movies by now. But I like how he's a little more patient with his films, and obviously lockdown and COVID probably slowed down his process for getting Nope made, and I can't wait to see his 4th film. But in going back to his comparing him to Spielberg, which I think there's even more connections between the two involving Universal, where, of course, Spielberg has created some of the most iconic IPs ever with his films, and Jurassic Park specifically being put in actual theme parks. A lot of Spielberg's movies have. And the attractions that people can visit, Universal did that with Jupiter's Claim from Nope. They put Jupiter's Claim.
Not Jupiter's Clam.
Not Jupiter's Claim. They put Jupiter's Claim, which Juniper runs and owns in the film.
Jupe.
No, his name's Juniper.
His name's Ricky Jupe.
Juniper.
Juniper?
I'm pretty damn sure his name
is his last name Juniper?
His name's Ricky Jupe Park. Where did I get Juniper?
I don't know.
Why did I say Juniper?
You were so adamant.
Even though anyways,
his name was Juniper.
His name was Robert Paulson.
Juniper.
Ricky Jupe Park. So, Jupiter's Claim. It's an attraction you can visit at Universal, and I don't think Universal does this, obviously, with many people, many filmmakers. You have to have, I think, a rare degree of connection with audiences around the world. You have to have huge hits under your belt, and I think that it's such a cool thing to do, to have Jupiter's Claim at Universal. I'm not sure if it's still there. It was there
for the marketing of the film.
Marketing. It was there for like a year and a half. It was there for a while, so you could check it out. But I think that's really cool, and that's a very rare thing to do.
And he's a visually interesting filmmaker. It's incredible. I mean, Get Out is probably his least visually interesting, but they still did an amazing job with $3 million.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't look like $3 million.
Outside of the sunken place, the visuals are more. He takes advantage of what he can with his resources, with the camera angles, the close-ups, things like running directly into the camera. I think those are the ways that he creates great, interesting visual language in that film.
Yeah.
But you're right, $3 million budget, not much you can do.
Us was a big improvement in terms of the visuals, having $20 million to work with to build really great sets. And I think a lot of films, especially low-budget films, you have to rush and film pretty quickly. They clearly took a lot more time with us, with the prep. I mean, there's just so many shots that they probably wouldn't have time to get in something like Get Out, where you just got $3 million. You got to shoot this pretty quickly.
I mean, you're lighting several people on fire. It's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, it gets crazy, and then all the sets in the underground, these huge, beautiful carnival pieces. But even I'm talking like visual motifs, like just the shot of the family, the huge overhead of the family walking on the beach, and we see their shadows along the sand, like referencing and alluding to the shadow people in a tethered.
Yeah, and 100 people holding hands in a shot.
The visuals were so much bigger and grander in Us and so much more improved. And then with Nope, working with his biggest budget yet, working with Hoyt van Hoytema, the
IMAX cameras, IMAX
arguably
film.
the best DP working today. And there's the visual language just got so much more sophisticated and stunning and gorgeous. And seeing him work with big sets. And the thing with the horror genre is the most common cliches are still like the most commonly made kinds of movies. The home invasion, like there's a supernatural force in our home. We've seen it 1,000 times, and it's always a home, and it always looks the same, and it feels the same, and it gets so redundant. But you can definitely see that Jordan has no interest in doing those things. Every one of his films is a new location. Every one of his films has a different visual look and style, and we spend Get Out at this home, and then in Nope we're in the valley in Northern California, and they're the Vasquez Rocks the whole time. It's the Western
horse ranch, yeah.
It's a Western essentially.
It is.
And then with Get Out, I mean, with Us we have the themes of the carnival and the underground, and I think that the horror genre needs filmmakers like this that aren't doing the same kind of thing over and over again. I mean, how many times can we do another supernatural forces haunting a family or invading a home or whatever? It's just like, it's been played out so many times before, and it gets pretty boring and redundant. But there's something about Jordan where he's just always fresh, and I love his characters, and he really is so exciting as a director.
And his visuals are just getting better and better, like you said, especially when you look at a film like Nope, because grand scale, huge film format, massive cameras, but also filmmaking outside the box, doing things that most people don't do, filming day for night, like they did for Mad Max Fury Road, but filming day for night where you're shooting pretty much all your exterior night scenes in broad daylight with IMAX cameras and infrared cameras. We talked about that in extent during our Nope episode a couple of years ago, which was a lot of fun. And
I got burned on TikTok for it.
Yeah, because there was an actual fact that they shot IR cameras, but people tore Anthony apart for some reason because they didn't believe it.
Yeah, Jordan Peele said they shot it all pretty much day for night.
Yeah, and we made some clips. You can see behind the scenes, Daniel Kaluuya, OJ, is in broad daylight, and then right next to him is the shot that's from the movie where it's not broad daylight and it's nighttime. It's been changed for night.
You can clearly see the scene where the UFO defecates on the house. That's shot in nighttime. That's a night shot.
Some scenes were shot at night, but for the most part, a lot of that movie was shot day for night, which is really rare to do. It's not easy, I'm sure. It took a lot of figuring out, a lot of testing. But what I love about Jordan specifically, and I think most about his filmmaking, is his commitment to practical filmmaking for as much as you can do. Of course, you can't make an alien spaceship without CGI and visual effects and post-production, but he's a filmmaker that seems strongly held to getting as much as you possibly can in camera, down lens, on set, doing it all in person if possible, as much as you can, because it really makes your film timeless. And that's what sets himself apart from other filmmakers, I think, in the horror genre that depend too much on CGI.
Yeah, and he has this great visual style of working with blue light in all of his films. And so in Get Out, there's beautiful blue lighting of moonlight when Chris is wandering the home, when he's in the sunken place, and the further he sinks into the sunken place, the light cools down, and it gets much bluer. And when he first gets into the sunken place, and before he drops, it's a balanced light. Then as he drops, it goes blue. Just thinking about what's the girlfriend's name? I'm sorry.
In Get Out?
Yeah, in Get Out. When she's in her bedroom eating cereal and milk.
Rose Armitage.
Beautiful blue lighting, and then also his flashbacks of him watching TV as a kid. This beautiful blue moonlight, and then in Nope, obviously all the day for night stuff. This incredible blue nighttime photography that looks so stunning. There's so much beautiful blue cinematography in that film, and then in Us, when Addie goes to the carnival funhouse, she's alone. She encounters her doppelganger. They're both bathed in this really beautiful blue light, and I just really like what he's doing in terms of using that to contrast warmer scenes, more colorful scenes. And it's a great visual motif that he's done in each one of his films and built upon them.
And also, when was the last time you saw a Western with someone wearing bright orange riding a horse? I think that's a really interesting way to set yourself apart and visually, I mean, obviously see your character better, but also throw in your inside jokes of crew sweatshirts, stunt sweatshirts, whatever it is. And it's the sweatshirt from when his first job with his father when he worked on The Mummy 2, The Scorpion King. It's that orange hoodie. But it's a great visual reference and motif of the movie that connects to, the inflatable, wacky, flailing arm guys that are used to obviously see where Jean Jacket is in the sky.
Or sell used cars.
Yeah, either one. And I want to go back to redefining cinema. And I would say that Jordan Peele has redefined the social thriller.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is a subgenre of horror and thrillers that have been around for a while. But this is where, Jordan's making society the villain versus having just like one big baddie. He's making society the villain. Obviously, with Get Out, there's so many references and metaphors for Black experience in America and around the world. Their voices not being heard. Obviously, that's what the Sunken Place references. Or Get Us, he's referencing and alluding to people who live in lower social hierarchies and classism. We have poverty's explored. And, when someone's given privilege, someone else it's getting taken away from them. That's pretty much what the representation of the tethered are, of someone who's lost privilege because someone else has gained privilege. And then we have, with Nope, we have the social thriller of spectacle. The social thriller where people are obsessed with spectacle, they're obsessed with controversy, they're more focused on looking up in the sky or seeing or being distracted than looking down and just paying attention to their own lives in a lot of ways.
And trying to use something that we don't understand for your own benefit.
Yeah.
And Get Out also alludes to the idea of the Black experience being a passenger in a community or in society. In Chris, like, the Black people being used in the Sunken Place as passengers, not being able to live, but being basically passengers to the white experience, essentially. It's really well done. And then I really love the classism themes in Us. His movies are really rewatchable, which is rare. They're incredibly rewatchable. I think Get Out is his best rewatch because after you know the twist and you know what's going on, it's just so fun to see all the other actors and how they're behaving around Chris.
You mean on a rewatch?
Yeah, on a rewatch.
Yeah.
When you know what's going to happen, and then it's fun to see how they're all acting, and it makes things like the big party really enjoyable to watch when you see all these old people asking random weird questions to Chris. And when you first watch the movie, you're like, why are they asking him weird stuff? And like, why is this old man asking him what his golf swing looks like? But then when you rewatch it, you're like, oh my God, they're all sizing him up, and it's just they're all trying to see, like, they're bidding on a home or a car, and they're just test driving it essentially. And you have the older woman like feeling his muscles. Oh, so is it true? It's better. It's a great rewatch, especially when you see Rose, who Jordan perfectly wrote Rose as the ultimate perfect girlfriend. In every situation, she just does the perfect thing, whether it be getting pulled over or dealing with her parents or
Getting pastries.
Well, yeah, she knows how to select the right thing. That pastries, it just looked like when I first saw the film, it's just the cross cut of Chris is getting ready in the morning before she comes, and she's going to the coffee shop to get coffee and pastries. And it's this cute thing of she's looking through the glass, and you're just like, oh, which pastry? She's like, which one should I get?
It's very sweet until you know what happens.
But then you realize she's so good at selecting the perfect item or the perfect person for what she's doing. Like, every person she selects, she's mapped it all out. I'm sure, just like Chris, they're orphans. They don't have anyone connected to them. They're easily influenced. I'm sure they all have some kind of habit that she coaxed out of them. So Chris has the smoking habit. I'm sure all of her other marks had bad habits as a way of helping them with that habit so that she could get them in the room with her mom for hypnosis therapy to get rid of whatever the habit is. I guarantee all the other people had habits that she used as a way to get in that room with her mom for a therapy session. So Rose is so well written because of, she always says the right thing. She's funny. She's charming. She seems to really love him.
She knows her parents are crazy.
Yeah, she knows her parents are crazy.
I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could.
But every situation And it's like when he talks about the weird groundskeeper, she's like, so you're saying I have a chance? Like, she always says the perfect thing, but it's because she's acting. It's amazing.
And she's done it 30 times.
Yeah. And when you watch the movie for the first time, you're like, she's the best. Like, and then like when the third act's happening, you're like, I hope that they both get out of there alive. And then the twist happens. And it was like, oh my God, she's in on it!
When he finds the photos. That's why I think Rose is the most evil character in the whole film, because obviously the Coagula cult and the Armitage family, they've been doing this for years now, developing this insane procedure where you can basically take somebody's soul and put it in somebody else. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And obviously they're all terrible, horrible people, the entire cult. But Rose specifically, she finds the guys. She has relationships with them.
Intimate,
for
personal.
months.
Yeah.
Really gets them to trust her so powerfully, and then manipulates the hell out of them, and then leads them to their death. And well, not their death, their demise of being prisoners in their own bodies.
Yeah.
So I think Rose is the worst person in Get Out, honestly.
I agree.
Which is a great trope to flip on its head, because you think she's going to be a final girl. She is a final girl on the surface. You know, this girl who's like very smart, very sophisticated, very well-intentioned, and looks like she can handle herself. Seems like a classic Sidney Prescott, or a classic, oh, she's going to survive at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, she's the worst person in the movie and gets killed.
And I also think the casting of Get Out was so great because you got Catherine Keener. What movie does Get Out remind you of?
With Catherine Keener?
Yes.
Not the 40-year-old virgin.
Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, where people play like passengers to John Malkovich. That's obviously the biggest influence on Get Out. But
who's coming home from dinner?
Yeah.
Look who's coming for dinner.
Yeah. But it's set really John Malkovich, where you can enter another person's body, essentially. In that movie, it's a doorway that people can enter, and then they get thrown out onto the side of the highway. But I think that it wasn't an accident that he cast Catherine Keener for this role. I think he's clearly making reference to John Malkovich. Plus, she's a phenomenal actor. But it just seems it's like a great connective DNA to fans of that movie if they notice, oh my God, these do have similar ideas. Catherine Keener's perfect for the movie. And then you get Bradley Whitlock, who's been a comedic performer, but also great actor on The West Wing for the entire run of that show. But many people know him from comedies, and getting him in this role as someone who is clearly like someone for the audience to laugh at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's in Billy Madison.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. We all know him for Billy Madison.
And
that's his most famous role.
In Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, Cabin in the Woods, yeah. He's a great comedic actor, but he was great dramatic acting on The West Wing with some comedy, but we know him as comedy, so he was perfectly cast in Get Out for the audience to laugh at him. I think that Jordan Peele understood really how to cast a movie.
Yeah, Caleb Landry Jones as well, and as Jeremy. I think he's perfectly cast as well. He's got that really wild card. He's got something in his eyes. You know what I mean? He's one of those actors. There's something going on behind his eyes, and he's a really cool story because Jeremy, his first movie role ever was in No Country for Old Men. He's one of the kids at the end of the film. Are you serious? That's Caleb Landry Jones? After Anton Chigurh gets in the car wreck at the intersection and he breaks his arm, one of those kids is Caleb Landry Jones. He just responded to a local casting call because that's what the Coen brothers do. They get local people in their movies, especially in that film. And now Caleb Landry Jones, you can recognize his voice. Someone says, "Mister, you got look at that
fucking bone in your arm.
Got your fucking bone sticking out of your arm."
Oh my God.
That's Caleb Landry Jones as a kid.
Holy shit.
And then he's turned into a great film career. But then the biggest thing he did next was obviously in Get Out. But he's been in film since then for sure, and he's built a great career just off that experience. Really.
He's a very good actor.
Yeah,
and he was in X-Men as the guy with the energy pulses out of his chest. In first class.
And then
I can't believe that.
Going back to Lakeith Stanfield in Get Out is Andre. You know, this missing guy who obviously is the opening of the movie. Gets kidnapped, and then now he's just acting like this old rich... Yeah, Andre, this Dre. He's just acting like this old rich white guy at this party with this old white lady. And
I'm afraid I've startled you all.
He's terrific in this movie. And I wonder if it was like up between the two of them for the lead role in this movie. I'm not sure.
I don't think it was between the two of them. From what I remember from a Jordan Peele interview, he actually wrote Get Out with the intention because he couldn't get any money, really, of starring in it himself.
Gotcha.
As Chris. That's how he originally imagined it. And then he just did some auditions, and he auditioned Daniel Kaluuya, and they did the teacup scene. And Daniel Kaluuya was just crying, tears streaming down his eyes, and emoting so well. And Jordan Peele gave him the role on the spot, and he said, he's like, I could never have done that. So, yeah, you should be playing this role.
Yeah.
I think that Kaluuya, I could be mistaken. I'm pretty sure he was cast very early in the process.
Gotcha.
And then Lakeith just was another up-and-coming actor who's, I mean, he's obviously blown up now, and he also has the stuff. He's fantastic. But I do think that it was always Kaluuya's role.
But at the end of the day, he knows casting. I think it's one of the great strengths to really incredible directors who have great careers is knowing how to cast your movies, and to cast your first movie so well with so many incredible actors, plus Betty Gabriel, Stephen Root in this film is terrific. Everyone does a fantastic job. Plus Lil Rel Howard bringing in the great humor of T.S. motherfucking A.
We handle shit.
Is so goddamn funny in this movie. And that's one of the great strengths to Jordan's films is, in addition to having great ominous adversaries, which we'll talk about, and terrifying plots and situations your characters are getting, and he's got great humor, great wit. It's sharp. It's just like you'd expect from someone who's been writing comedy and doing it for 20 years. And I think that that's one of the greater strengths of his films, because at the end of the day, funny is money. You know, it's something that Jerry Bruckheimer said. Funny is money. You can have a decent movie, but if it's funny, people are going to love it. You're going to have a really good time at the theater, and people are going to recommend it. That's how you make the bucks. Is obviously you don't have to have great jokes, but I think Jordan Peele's great humor just adds so much to his movies that a lot of horror directors maybe can't do.
That's what really set the ending of Get Out apart from the rest, and that's what makes Nope so rewatchable, because it's very funny, thanks in part mainly to Keke Palmer being a scene stealer. And that's what was kind of missing in Us a little bit. It doesn't have that sense of humor. We get a little...
Winston's funny.
Yeah,
Winston Duke's a pretty funny guy.
Especially in the first act, but that movie becomes very much just a slasher movie. And it's just about just constantly people killing each other. And so for me, Us is the least rewatchable. It's still really good, but it's also the movie where you don't want to think about it too hard. And because then the plot falls apart. That's a movie where the other two they're perfect. You know what I mean? There's not a hole in them at all. And Us, you have to watch Us without really wanting to think too much about the plot of it. And that's in the comedy is what made Get Out a sensation. It was that ending. It was when the cops pull up. He's about to strangle Rose to death.
He does. He kills her.
He kills her, and the cops pull up, and it's Rod.
Well, it's great suspense because he kills her, then the flashing lights are on his face, and you obviously, oh my God.
Well, no, she's still alive, and she like reaches out her arm. He doesn't kill her. She dies of her own
blood
wounds
loss.
at the end.
Okay, you're right.
So the lights show up, and...
But you think the audience, as an audience member, you're like, this guy, it's going to look like he just killed everyone in this family.
Exactly.
And then it's obviously
and then it's Rod. Yeah. And it's just the funniest, most cathartic, light ending. They shot it the other way too. They shot a scene version of it where it was real police arresting him, and then Rod visiting him in prison at the end. The movie would not have had as strong of word of mouth. People wouldn't have had as great of a time. It would have been a very somber way to end the film. It still would have been great, but that whole thing, funny is money, having that laugh, and it wasn't just a laugh, the entire audience was dying.
Yeah.
We needed that. Everyone needed that, and that's what made it so special. That ending worked so well. And then Nope has...
Wait. How'd you find me? T.S. motherfucking A. We handle shit.
And Nope has a lot of that levity. Even at the ending, it's still like some people die, but it was a good ending. It was satisfying. And then the Us ending is the twist of she was actually the untethered the entire time, and the audience got it wrong from the flip side. And again, but like I said earlier, Us is a movie that you can't examine the idea and the concept too strenuously because it will fall apart. Because
there's some loopholes, there's some plot holes in Us.
Yeah, for
for me, I think Us is it's made so well. It's got great moments. It's a really cool idea, great metaphors and themes like we talked about earlier. But at the end of the day, for me, Us, even though it's so unique, it felt really similar to a movie that came out a couple of years before, The Invitation, which came out in 2015.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's a horror movie.
You keep recommending
I
it.
recommend it to anyone who's never seen it. The 2015 version. There's a version that of the same title, not the same movie.
Is this the one with Logan Marshall Green in
Yeah.
it, with the beard?
Yep, Logan
Gotcha,
Marshall
okay.
Green, who's obviously from Prometheus. He is the lead in this film, and it's about him going to this dinner invitation, which gets super out of hand. I don't want to spoil the plot or the ending, but the ending of the movie to The Invitation is very reminiscent of the ending of Us, or vice versa. And we're not completely, but obviously Jordan Peele's is bigger scale, bigger ideas, and more of a unique flourish and twist on it.
Yeah.
But a very similar thing happens to society. And I won't spoil it if you've never seen it. I recommend checking out The Invitation. For me, when I saw Us, I thought it was great, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I just saw this kind of ending in a movie a few years ago.
Sure.
But still, it's really strong. And I think that for what he's saying in terms of underneath the surface, in the context of Us, it's really powerful.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you can't think about the tethered too deeply, because then you're like, wait, so what if someone drives a car on the surface? Is that tethered person like flying in the air?
Or are they in a car position or always?
Yeah, and it's like
bumping into
what
walls.
if someone's on a plane? I mean, where's that tethered person going? So you can't think about it too strictly, because then it will ruin the concept. So Us is a movie.
You need a lot of white rabbits too to feed them.
A lot of white
Like,
rabbits to sustain all those people.
Yeah, you need
6 billion people.
like a couple trillion white rabbits.
But the reason is, the movie's just about the ideas.
Yeah.
That's what, as an audience member, just focus on what the ideas are. Don't think about the practicality or the logistics, or if this is even possible, because that'll ruin the movie for you. Us is a movie that, if you view through the lens of just what is he saying, what are the ideas presented to us, it's a more enjoyable rewatch. But it is the least rewatchable of the three.
But I think it just has really powerful imagery and situations. Yeah. And obviously Lupita's performance is the greatest part of that film. But then what I think Jordan did so brilliantly with Us is great character designs, and this sort of outfit of the tether with the red outfits, those gloves, the like brownish gloves, and then scissors. It's a really cool slasher look. And I think that's what every slasher needs. Is you need a great character design, you need a specific character weapon. And I think that Jordan did a great job of giving his tethered this specific look, this is specific aesthetic, the mask, everything, and also the scissors. And this ominous presence of the tethered connects to all the ominous villains inside of all of his films. Plus the visuals in Us are really great. It's really well filmed. Again, really cool sequences of characters being lit on fire in the distance. Really great cinematography. I like the beach cinematography a lot, and the carnival sequences are great. But ominous villains are a great strength and trademark of Jordan Peele in his filmography. Obviously, with Get Out, we have the Coagula cult and the Armitage family, these ominous characters who, throughout the course of the film, he's brilliantly building suspense slowly until we're starting to feel as uneasy as Chris feels in his shoes. Throughout the course of the film, things get weirder and weirder. You chalk it up at first to just, weird parents. Parents do odd things sometimes. Maybe they're, saying silly things to get on his side. As like a father who wants him to feel accepted. I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could. Like that's just like one of those things. Like I want to make you feel comfortable, kind of things. But it's also a silly thing that dads say silly things. They sell bad dad jokes. It is what it is. But it's very ominous as throughout the course of the film, especially the other people who live at the home. We have the character who's basically the groundskeeper of the house, who does odd things. He has weird behavior. Walter, who just runs full sprint at Chris, then darts away and brings up to him the next day. I'm sorry if I startled you by doing that thing the other night. And then we have Georgina, who's the housekeeper of the house, who has really odd behaviors, smiles and cries at Chris like nothing's wrong, but looks like there's some inner turmoil going on. And plus the flash from the camera setting Dre off, telling him to get out, giving him a voice for just a few seconds to warn Chris that something terrible is about to happen to you. So ominous themes and characters. And then going to the tethered in the second film are very ominous. And Jean Jacket in the third film with Nope, a very ominous figure. Where, like, what? That's the
Ominous
that's
is
the
the
word of the day.
day.
It's the word of the day. Mysterious, ominous, dangerous character. What's happening? How did OJ's father die from looking up at the sky? Was there really a plane that dropped a bunch of cargo from it and all this debris falling? Where did it come from? How did he die? Until they start to discover this invisible fucking alien flying around the sky. So very mysterious, eerie villains in these movies. Ominous.
20 times.
Thank you.
All right. A couple of questions about us that I'd like to hear your thoughts on.
Okay, let's go.
Why rabbits?
Why rabbits?
Why do you think rabbits?
Well, I would say rabbits because I haven't seen Ups in a few years. My guess, why rabbits? Because maybe they symbolize purity because they're all white. Also, rabbits, they
aren't all white.
I thought they were all white rabbits in the movie.
There's all sorts of colors.
I think they reproduce so quickly. Maybe that's why. Because rabbits, that's obviously the cliche. They just reproduce at absurd rates. And also, I guess that's why. I think it's because they're the quickness, the speed of their reproduction. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think?
Rabbits are the most experimented on animal.
Oh, okay.
They're animals that are always used as test subjects for all sorts of science, research, what have you. And so it makes sense because the tethered were basically an experiment and an abandoned experiment. So I think that the tethered are rabbits to human beings.
Gotcha.
Essentially.
That's a great point.
Why Hands Across America?
Hands Across America. Obviously, Hands Across America was a movement and sort of a campaign, in the 90s when we were
86.
kids? In 86. But I remember seeing it.
I was aware of it, yeah.
I remember it being in the 90s. And what was it used? To spread unity and togetherness, basically. Yeah. And in this film, the tethered do the Hands Across America.
Yeah.
My guess is this is them coming up from the underground and finally taking place on the surface of the world and showing that they exist and taking their rightful spot.
I agree.
Cool.
Showing that it's just they're making a statement that we exist and we're here now. Mm-hmm. And so for me, Addie, when she was watching that program of the Hands Across America when she was a kid, the day she was taken by Red. So while she was in the underground, that was the last thing she remembered. And it was on TV, and everybody in America was doing it. So I imagine that while she was in underground, that was her plan to do what they did, because everybody saw it. So we need to do something that everybody sees. We should do what they did on TV, the Hands Across America.
But also after killing everyone.
Yes, after you murder most people. Mostly everyone's dead.
Mostly.
Good stuff.
You don't have a nope question?
A nope question. Why is... Hold on, I got a nope question. Why does Jupe, or as you like to call him, Juniper, why does he think his show is going to go well?
With the alien?
His performance.
I think...
Because he's doing the performance. This is clearly the first time he's done it in front of people.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean? Which one?
When he's the big attack. When he wants to feed the alien the horse.
Oh, I don't see that as his first time doing it.
For people, I'm saying.
Oh, for people?
As a performance.
Okay, gotcha.
He's done it.
Yeah.
This is a performance.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Otherwise, people would have spread the news.
He says it's early, so it's quickly shown that things aren't going normally for him. Mm. But this is the first time he's done it in front of people. This is the big opening night act, essentially.
Copy.
Why do you think he's doing this? Why is Jupe doing this show with an alien? And what do you think his motivations and intentions are?
What's the name of the monkey again?
Gordy.
Okay, I see it as... I always view Jupe as someone who survived this horrific incident. And because he survived this attack of Gordy, losing it on set, killing multiple people on the set of the TV show, several of the actors, maiming one of them who's at the show that Jupe's putting on, I think that Jupe probably, especially when he reflects back on it, and there's that great shot of him thinking about that incident, he's like got his arms behind his head, and he's got an odd smile on his face. I think Jupe thinks that he's special. I think Jupe thinks he was chosen, And that's led to self-confidence and arrogance in a way, to think that he's better than other people, that I've survived this horrific thing. Nothing happened to me. I was left alone during this tragic incident. Why not? You know, he probably feels a lot of hubris about doing something like trying to tame an alien in the sky, and he's done it several times already before. So what could go wrong? I've survived situations like this before. So I'm guessing overconfidence from surviving that.
100%, because he thinks he survived Gordy because of him. He didn't understand that Gordy calmed down because the last balloon popped. It was the balloons that set him off. Again, reflections are a common theme in Nope. The horse struggling with the reflection, whatever you call that,
The globe.
that orb, the lighting orb. The reflection sets it off. Gordy is set off by the reflections of the balloons. And then we get that biker at the end in the third act with the reflective helmet. So we get reflections a lot in this movie.
Reflections of the balloons. Then the balloon just goes up to the ceiling and pops, doesn't it?
So here's the thing. Gordy was set off when all the balloons came out of the box.
Yeah.
It was in their shiny reflective balloons. And then he
Were
started...
they? Oh, they were.
They were very reflective.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so once the balloons emerged, he started panicking, and then he started attacking everyone. And during the attack, you hear balloons popping. So each one by one, balloons are going up to the top, hitting a light or whatever, and popping. And then the final balloon, it's a red balloon, it's the last one still floating. It pops after he kills the last guy. It pops, and Gordy calms down, and then approaches Jupe. Like, what's going on, man? Why are you under the table?
Fist bump.
He calmed down because the balloons were gone. So Jupe misread it. He thought Gordy calmed down because of him, but he calmed down because that final balloon popped.
World's first fist bump right there. It's a great point. All right, how about we take a intermission break?
Yes.
And then we'll get back to our breakdown on the horror of Jordan Peele and his films. Now, before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Why would you do this? Because you get access to weekly bonus episodes of the show, like the weekly chat, which is exclusively on Patreon. You get access to the ad-free version of every episode. So if you want to listen to this episode without commercial breaks, hop on Patreon and become a member there. You also get access to our Discord, where we have watch parties a couple times a month. We just watched Fantastic Mr. Fox a week and a half ago. It was a lot of fun. And you also, other perks like personalized video messages, free merchandise, all kinds of stuff. So head on over to patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast to check out if you think signing up for our Patreon is worth it to you. It's worth it to many others. And thank you all, future, past, present, and patrons, for your supports. Another great way to support the show is leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Plus, subscribe on YouTube, follow Instagram, TikTok, everything. What these reviews do on Spotify and Apple and these ratings is they help us get seen by new people, just like subscribing on YouTube does. They help us chart better on the podcast platforms. They help us get new listeners. They add reputability to the show. And at 4,000 Apple ratings, I'm getting a tattoo of Anthony's choice. Hopefully it's not Gordy on my back. Another great way to support the show is just share us. Word of mouth is the best way for a podcast to grow organically. So share us with your family and friends. Share us on Instagram. Share our episodes. Whatever you can do will help.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com to get yourself 10% off your order right now. They have a huge selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their poster library, as well as all sorts of sizes, framing, and even backlighting for your poster needs. They have all of your favorite horror movie posters, from the new ones to the old Hollywood classics, the Universal monster movies. I got this Dracula poster right here. It's like one of my favorite new posters I own right now. If you love Jordan Peele movies and love his posters, go to movieposters.com for your poster needs, and even to get a gift for the movie lover in your life. They have a huge selection, and be sure to get 10% off your order right now by using our coupon code Raiders10 right now at movieposters.com.
All right, let's get into our intermission and begin with framed.wtf, where we try to guess the movie from the stills that are given. Now, the first still from this movie is a close-up of, is that a keyboard, it looks like?
Some kind of keyboard.
Some sort of keyboard.
Someone's pressing a button.
or a remote, something like that. I have no idea. So I'm gonna
say
insert
Casino
shot.
Royale.
I just don't even know. All right, second still is a guy laying on the couch. That's not
After Hours.
Oh crap! It is After Hours. Yep, that's
Got
the
it.
subway. Yep, there's Arquette. Yeah, nice job.
Thanks.
There's the plaster mold. Dude, that movie gives me so much anxiety.
Nice. Only two.
Nice job, dude.
The first image was tough.
Yeah, it was tough.
He's typing. I think he's still at work. Yeah, he's still at work.
Mm-hmm.
He had to work late.
The opening scene.
Yeah.
Next up, we have our movie quote competition, Anthony. Are you ready?
Ready.
This is 2 characters. Life isn't that simple. I mean, who cares if Ling Ling returns the wallet and keeps the money? It has nothing to do with either fear or love. Fear and love are the deepest of human emotions. Okay, but you're not listening to me. There are other things that need to be taken into account here, like the whole spectrum of human emotion. You can't just lump everything into these 2 categories and then just deny everything else.
It sounds so familiar. I don't know.
Donnie Darko.
Ah.
It's that class exercise.
Yeah, gotcha. Good one.
Fear and love.
Gotcha. All right, here's my quote. Mr. Madison, what you've said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to you. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
What was the question that's asked him in this? I can't try to remember. And I want to see his answer. I want to see if we can find. So Billy Madison,
He
obviously.
connects to people he's met in the film, and
It's about. Is it about Industrial Revolution? I think.
I can't remember.
Okay, so yeah, so he's asked, the Industrial Revolution changed the face of the modern novel forever. Discuss citing specific examples is that the Industrial Revolution is like the story Puppy Who Lost His Way. Oh, that he learns. So he says, here, I got the quote. Hold on. The Industrial Revolution to me is just like the story. Oh, crap, hold on, I lost it. Give me 1 sec. 1 sec, everybody. The Industrial Revolution to me is just like a story I know called The Puppy Who Lost His Way. The world was changing and the puppy was getting bigger. So you see, the puppy was like the industry in that they were both lost in the woods. That's the short version of the quote. So he compares it to that story he learns from Miss Lippy. And nobody, especially the little boy, society, knew where to find him. Except the puppy was a dog. But the industry, my friends, was a revolution.
I drew the duck blue because I've never seen the blue duck. Oh my god, I gotta watch that soon. I haven't seen it in forever.
It's a longer answer, but
yeah, it's a really long answer. Yeah,
fucking hell.
and they cut to her in the audience. She's like super happy and excited. She's like nodding.
I'm glad I called that guy. Anthony, guess this movie release year. Hardball.
2001.
You are correct. Nice job.
Nice, good one.
Good
Makes
flick.
me-
Tear
Little
jerk.
Michael B. Jordan.
Little tearjerker, man.
What year did Billy Madison come out?
Oh, man. 1994?
95.
95.
Yep. Cool.
Pop quiz time, Anthony. Who directed the film Hannibal?
That would be Ridley Scott.
Nice job, guy. Nice job. Can't get anything past him.
Bradley Whitfield shared the screen with Elizabeth Moss in what project?
Bradley Whitfield. Can I look up who Bradley Whitfield is?
He's the dad in Get Out.
Okay. Bradley Whitfield.
I did it because he's in Get Out and she's in Us.
Yeah.
So that would be a fun question.
I'm going to go ahead and say... What's that show?
What show?
The show that she's in.
She's in a few
The
shows.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
Yeah. Am
That
I
was
correct?
just a straight guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
No.
Okay, describe their scenes together.
Their scenes together.
Yeah, what is their relationship?
He works at Starbucks. She walks in, and he writes the wrong name. And then the revolution starts.
Well, so you have seen it. Never mind. I'm
have-
sorry.
I told you.
I'm sorry I
man.
questioned you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. That's rude of me.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. I'm used to it. All right. Do you have any unsubscribes?
We got Drums and Dragons on 2000s comedies. A Dewey Cox full episode, or I unsubscribe. That'll be fun. Cough Datch. No Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo, and Hot Chick. How can you discriminate Rob Schneider?
Oh, that's right.
Unsubscribe.
Hot Chick's-
I forgot about Deuce.
It's me, Jessica.
That was a good one. That was funny.
Yeah, it's a funny movie.
Kyle Armstrong on Joker. Unsubscribe for all the inaccuracies.
That happens.
In Star Trek Into Darkness, it's Kirk and McCoy running away, not Spock and Kirk. They're trying to stop the volcano from destroying the tri-breaking prime directive when Spock reports Kirk. Kirk is demoted and Spock is going to be shipped off until the bomb goes off in the Starfleet research, setting up the main plot, and Kirk is sent to go after the fugitive responsible smiley face. Thanks for clearing it up.
I've
pal.
only seen it once when it came out. Totally forgot.
Tempest on 2000s comedies. Missing out on the food pun of the guy in Ratatouille being named Alfredo Linguini and calling him Luigi is unforgivable. Unsubscribe. I did call him Luigi.
There's a tempest in me.
Horror, sci-fi and beyond. The sexiest man who ever lived, Hugh Jackman, wasn't in Love Actually. Unsubscribed, but resubscribed because you fixed the mistake.
I did fix it, yeah.
Yes, you did
Hugh
fix
Grant.
it. Yeah. A list of 100 movies. Surely there will be a movie in here I haven't seen. I can say 100% confidence that I've seen them all, and for that I must unsubscribe. P.S. Joe Dirt needs to be higher for the soundtrack alone.
Joe Dirt is great.
Joe Dirt's fantastic. Paul Cantu. Sandler's love interest in Zohan was Emmanuel Shikri from Entourage.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mixed it up with The Dictator.
She played Vince's
E's
girlfriend. What was her
girlfriend.
name? Sloane?
Sloan,
Yeah.
Top 5 hottest Sandler's love interests. Not Anna Faris. That scene when you reference where the guy is sitting behind Anna Faris on the motorcycle, grabbing her chest, was from The Dictator from 2012. Do better, guys. Be better. Or I'm going to unsubscribe.
Do better, be better.
Next up, we got Dylan Dugas. I'm unsubscribing. The song is It's Too Late to Apologize.
Too late to apologize.
We were way off with that
Isn't
one.
that what I said?
No.
Also, in case anyone heard a weird noise, I
Yeah.
accidentally kicked my computer off the coffee table and had to redo an audio file.
Yeah, he broke the computer. He just laughed so hard.
I was laughing and I kicked
He
it.
kung fu kicked the
did.
laptop.
Kicked the shit out of my Mac.
Ryan C. Anna Faris got felt up by Sacha Baron Cohen in The Dictator, not Sandman in Zohan. Unsubscribed.
Also, this was Anthony just saying.
Yeah, it was me. I admit it.
yeah, you
I admit it. I've not seen either film for like at least 5 years.
It's your fault.
Aaron Walker loved Gyllenhaal in 500 Days of Summer, but I personally think his best work was Third Rock from the Sun. Unsubscribed.
Did I say Gyllenhaal?
I think you might have said Gyllenhaal.
I thought I said JGL. I think
Maybe.
I know I said JGL. Maybe I mumbled it and people thought I said Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty damn sure I said JGL.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to check the tape on that one.
We should check the tape. I'm curious myself. I am. I thought I said JGL.
You probably said both.
I probably mumbled it.
All right, Keith.
I was probably like JGL.
Me, myself, and Irene. You said it starred Rachel Zegler. I think you meant Zellweger.
Oh.
Unsubscribed. JK, I would never. Duck Butterson. Yes, that's me, Duck Butterson. We got a couple of those. You called her. Yeah, you called her Rachel Zegler.
Whoops.
Dzani Zucan. Sorry, I hope I said that right. I just started the episode, but if there's no Tropic Thunder on this list, I swear to God, I will unsubscribe. Don't worry, pal. It's in there. RG also got us on Anna Faris. It's Clifton Powell who plays Pinky in the second Friday movie. Unsubscribed.
Next Friday,
From
yeah.
the official BZ. And then, Boris, just right, unsubscribe on YouTube. Short and sweet. I love it.
Simple. Simple as a pimple.
And then we got, finally, Obi-Wan Frijoles. Angela Bassett was nominated for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Unsubscribed. Yeah. I only said that Chadwick didn't get nominated. Also, OG Chizzy said the same thing. Bassett nominated for Black Panther. Unsubscription loading.
So the name was Obi-Wan Frijoles?
Yeah, frijoles.
Beans. That's a funny name.
Yeah.
All right.
I just said that Chadwick didn't get nominated for Black Panther. Not that no one did.
Yeah. All right, we have...
But we appreciate your unsubscribes, everyone.
Yeah, we appreciate him so much. We have a great 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. I'd love to read it out. And this is from Got Wood. It's their name. Birth name.
It's lovely.
Got _Wood _. It rolls off the tongue. Subject line. I'd give 5.5 stars if I could. 5 stars. I've been listening to these guys since they still had Manscaped as a sponsor. It's been a while. Easily one of my favorite podcasts. James and Anthony have an extensive knowledge of film and filmmaking and communicate it without sounding like pretentious D-bags. Every time they post, my watch list gets bigger, and I've discovered some of my favorite movies and directors from this podcast. It's been really cool to see the podcast grow over the years and see James and Anthony get to interview some big directors and actors. It's also awesome to see them working on their own films and creative projects outside of the podcast. Start shooting in 5 days. Despite the podcast getting bigger, they're still really down to earth, responding to messages on Instagram and interacting with their fans. It was pretty cool to hear my letterbox read out loud on the show. If you're interested in movies and want to learn more, this is the show for you. However, I'm still not fully convinced that James isn't just Anthony in a wig. Also, if they don't post a hi on my Miyazaki director spotlight, I'll be forced to unsubscribe.
Oh, we'll do that.
That would be pretty fun to do.
Yeah, gotta watch some more of his movies.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the year we can do something like that.
Yeah. Thanks, Got Wood.
Got Wood.
I'm glad you got Wood.
Thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful review.
I just noticed you have a skeleton.
Yeah, it's
on your
spooky
lap.
season, so
Yeah.
I got him on the set. He's just hanging with me now for the rest of the episode.
Your son.
I think it's good to keep death close by. Keeps you aware.
Maybe that should be your tattoo, a skeleton.
A skeleton?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know if I'd get a skeleton tattoo.
It's not up to you, man.
Well, we said it has to be movie related.
There's skeletons in movies all the time.
Yeah, but if you give me a Jack Skellington tattoo, I'd kill you.
I didn't
man.
say Jack Skellington. I just said skeleton.
Well, what skeleton from what movie would you pick?
I don't know. It's a good question. Jack Skellington.
All right, Anthony, what's your streaming recommendation for the episode?
The Brood is on Max and Criterion, Cronenberg's film. It's insane. It's absolutely bonkers. It's great body horror and lots of kills. It's super cool. And also Criterion Channel, if anyone has it or if anyone's interested in it, they have a new spooky season, huge collection of awesome horror movies.
Oh yeah, I saw Winona has her own collection.
Yeah,
too.
there's a Winona Ryder collection, and there's an 80s horror movie. There's an Italian horror movies collection. There's a Japanese horror movies collection. So they got a ton of great stuff. Go to Criterion. It's better than all the other apps. It's the best.
That's not a sponsor, by the way.
I wish it was. I wish. Criterion.
I wonder if they know we exist.
They probably don't.
I want to go to the Criterion closet so bad.
Everyone wants to.
That'd be really fun. All right, Anthony, my streaming recommendation is The Babadook, which is on Netflix for October. Excellent Australian horror film. Excellent. From Jennifer Kent. Excellent. Really good. Check it out.
So Jordan Peele actually did a bracket for his favorite horror film of all time.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to guess what it is?
His favorite horror film of all time, my guess would be... Ooh.
I can give you a hint. Just think about his age and like when he grew up.
Yeah. Was he born in the 70s?
He was born in the 30s.
Black don't crack, right? I'm guessing he was born like early 70s.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So, best horror film of all time, I would say The Thing. Jaws.
No. It's in his top 4.
Jaws is in his top 4?
Yeah.
Was it like a 1 seed, Jaws?
I can't remember the seed numbers. I can't remember. You want me to just tell you, or do you want to keep guessing?
The Exorcist.
It's an 80s movie.
That's why I went with
Yeah,
The
it's
Thing
an 80s.
first.
You're right there, yeah.
80s horror movie.
You get one more guess. Think about it.
Think about it. Hero! 3 episodes in a row, Spider-Man reference. 1980s. The Shining?
No.
I don't know. Logan? Oh, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
His favorite.
That's his favorite.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, I was gonna guess that, but I thought you said best. I thought you said what he thinks is the best horror movie.
Well, I mean, so you would have said it.
No, I wouldn't have said A Nightmare. I think A Nightmare on Elm Street's great, but I wouldn't say it like is the best horror movie of all time.
Well, that's your opinion.
That's what I know. That's why I didn't.
Maybe it was his best. I can't remember exactly the word.
We need some
It was one of them.
specificity here.
It might have been what he thinks is the best, or it might have been his favorite. It's either. I can't remember.
That's a really cool pick.
Yeah.
I think that A Nightmare on Elm Street's really special because of how unique and creative and interesting it is. You know, have this dream world, which obviously he's connected one of his films to A Nightmare on Elm Street in a lot of ways. You know, The Sunken Place you could look at as sort of a dream world that you're stuck in, just like how when you're stuck in a dream, Freddy can come get you. I think that's really cool. That's his favorite horror movie.
Yeah. He's a cool dude. I also get vibes of Freddy kind of with the Sunken Place people. With Red, with the gloves, with the scissors. They have a weapon. It's an iconic, like, slasher costume. I definitely get that vibe, that feeling.
I guess I wonder, can you connect Nope to A Nightmare on Elm Street in any way?
Not that I know.
Not red blood. The red blood. A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah. It's
Instead of
pouring blood
shooting
on the
out,
house.
yeah, it's shooting down. Actually,
blood
so
on the house.
there is a way to connect all three of his movies to A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's pretty interesting.
Interesting.
I never thought about it like that.
I'm glad I brought it up then.
Me too. Have you noticed that there are animals in every one of his films?
Yes, there are.
So obviously in Get Out, we have 2 instances of deer.
Mm-hmm.
One deer is one that they hit with their car, right?
Yes.
And then it dies off on the side, and that shot of Chris going to see life leaving his eyes is a really interesting shot to connect later on, because later on he uses deer antlers to stab somebody. Does he stab the brother or is it the father?
Stabs the father. I also think it's more significant with the deers on the wall.
Yeah.
It's because the deer is now a passenger to this world, and it's taken all of its independence has been taken away, and so Chris is poised to become like the deer.
And Jordan gets the shot. He gets a close up of the eyes of the deer as it's dying, just like he gets the close up of Chris's eyes when he goes into the sunken place.
Yeah. So Chris is the deer symbolizes what Chris will become. Mm-hmm. So that's why the deer's there, I think.
And then we have the white rabbits, obviously, in Us, which we've already talked about, and Anthony gave us a great breakdown of why.
I'm glad you liked it.
The white rabbits are there is because they're the most experimented on animals, which is really sad. And the tethered are essentially a failed experiment that have been abandoned.
It just reminds me of not another teen movie.
What?
Where she's yelling at her friends for using makeup. You know, they test these on animals, and she shows a photo of like chimpanzees using makeup. It's Photoshop, but like they're like
Lipstick and everything.
all over their face.
Terrible. It's funny though.
It's Photoshop.
It's a
though.
movie.
It just reminds
it's
me.
not real. It's not real.
I'm sorry.
You're fucked up, Anthony.
You're laughing too.
I'm not laughing. And then in Nope, horses are a main part of the story of animals, but animals in general of sort of dangerous predators.
Chimpanzee too.
Yeah, chimpanzee for sure. Thanks. But also, like, a predator is a really strong theme of this film, with Jean Jacket being this intergalactic traveling predator that is trying to find a place to hunt. And obviously, there are connections to Jaws with Nope in a big way. You know, Nope is essentially Jaws, except in a ranch in a desert. But I think it's really interesting how Jordan uses animals to tell his story in all three of the films so far that he's made.
Absolutely.
And Keanu's about a cat.
Yeah.
A kitten.
He loves animals. I love it. Jean Jacket is an animal, essentially. How long do you think Jean Jacket's been there?
On Earth?
Yeah.
I would say that Jean Jacket's been on Earth for... I always envision Jean Jacket being a newcomer, like new to the planet. And I think that if Jean Jacket was around more, it would have been discovered sooner. So I think that maybe this is Jean Jacket's first stop, was this location, found a good hunting ground. And besides that, I believe that Jean Jacket's just been traveling the universe looking for a place to find prey.
Well, the strength to the Nope story is he never explains what Jean Jacket is, where it came from, or anything like that, even if it's what kind of intelligence it has. That's the strength of the movie, is not revealing too much. I think that Jean Jacket's been around for decades. It's just new to this area.
And then any stories of UFOs from the past are stories about Jean Jacket. You know,
That's a good point.
So even like stories, crazy people telling crazy stories about seeing a UFO or being sucked up into UFO, like these are all stories that are true, and they're about Jean Jacket.
Do you think those stories are true?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think that there's UFOs in Earth.
Yeah, I think it's most likely just government misinformation to avoid what they're doing with their technology, something like that, probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's any credence to it.
But I think it's really cool to have an alien in your horror movie. I think it's a great aspect, and
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so strong. Is he sort of follows the blueprint of Jaws really well. You know, there is an incident, someone dies in the early parts of the film. All of his films have a really great blueprint of. I think horror movies are strongest when they have great openings, great opening scene to kind of give you the rules of what's happening. Like I just watched Evil Dead and the 2013 remake, and that has a great opening scene. You know, you lay the foundation on, add mystery and intrigue, and then throughout the course of the rest of the film, you know, you're subtly showing the audience what you want to reveal by the end. And I think he does a great job. And we have great opening sequences. Get Out, the opening sequence of, obviously, the cross-cutting of, the opening sequence of the kidnapping of Andre and Get Out is really strong. This mysterious opening, it's dark out, this guy's walking the streets, and this car's following him, this Porsche, and he's like, oh, not tonight, he's
Not
trying
me.
to go away. He's kidnapped, put in the back of he gets knocked out, unconscious, put in the trunk of the car. And then Us, what's the opening scene in Us again? I'm trying to remember.
In Us, it's
the carnival. The
She's
carnival.
little at a carnival with her
Carnival,
parents.
opening scene of the carnival is really great.
Well, the opening is Hands Across America on
Yeah.
TV.
And then
Yeah,
her as a
then
kid,
Carnival.
Adelaide as a young girl at the carnival, and then seeing herself, but a different version of herself. And then the opening of Nope is obviously we have the death of OJ's father in the first act, which I think is a really significant way to add mystery to your film of how did he die? How did this coin lodge itself and fly from the sky and land himself inside his eye and kill him? I think all three films, but also it's Gordy's home is the opening of Nope as well. The shoe.
No, that's revealed halfway through. We get the sounds of the TV show with the credits, but they don't. He doesn't open with that.
I'm pretty sure he opens with the shoe. Let me double check. I think he might.
Okay, yeah, I think he might open with the shoe. You might be right, but it's not. We don't see the event. We just see. I think we just see the aftermath.
Nope, opening scene. I'm pulling. Yep, it's Gordy. Gordy's birthday. It opens with the show.
We don't see the attack though.
Yeah.
We see the attack halfway through.
Yep. And then also he does that great telecard of going through the stomach of Jean Jacket, which is great.
Yeah, the opening of Nope is we're inside Jean Jacket. It was just really fantastic.
That's that's the title sequence.
That's like the first thing we see. And the second thing we see is the horse jockey. That footage. But so there's a movie that Get Out was inspired by, and it's called Eyes Without a Face.
Oh yeah.
So Eyes Without a Face actually opens with a car driving past trees, and it's a shot of the trees flying by the screen, just like Nope, right? And then, and he's been open, like it was a huge influence on him. Eyes Without a Face is about this doctor whose daughter was horribly disfigured. Her face was horribly disfigured in an accident. And so he and his assistant capture women, kill and steal their faces to put on her and do transplant faces onto his daughter, and then they kill the woman. And it's happened many times because they haven't been able to find a face that will biologically like sync with her face. Her body always rejects the new face. So they've been through a bunch of women. And so that movie is about replacing someone, taking someone's identity and putting it onto someone else. And it's a really remarkable film. I think it's one of the greatest horror films ever made. If you check it out, you'll definitely see where he pulled from for some of his ideas and visuals. But it's a genius film. And I think that this Get Out really is like, in a way, a contemporary retelling of Eyes Without a Face.
Yeah, we've talked about that movie on the show. We did it on 100 Best Horror Movies You've Never Seen Before.
Yeah.
That was on that list. And I think that Jordan's just made very good films, and to rank them, if we look at the numbers, IMDb, Get Out is a 7.8, Us is a 6.8, and Nope is also a 6.8. If we go to the Rotten Tomatoes scores, Get Out is a 98%, Us is 93%, and then Nope is 83%. And on Letterboxd, Get Out is a 4.2, Us is a 3.7, and then Nope is also a 3.7.
Surprisingly average ratings for Nope.
Yeah, I think that Nope is his most underrated film.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by the box office. It's still really good box office. 170 on $68 million.
no joke,
You know,
yeah.
that's a good box office, a successful film. But I was surprised that movie didn't break 200. But again, it came out 2022 after lockdowns got lifted, so I think some people were wary and maybe hesitant to go out to theaters at the time. So I'm sure that affected the box office somewhat, because for me, I thought that movie was going to break 300 million. I thought that movie was going to be a huge,
I thought it was going to be
huge hit.
400. I predicted 400. I was nowhere near it.
I thought it was going to be massive because it had a great trailer, great marketing campaign, very simple, very mysterious, just like all of his films. And coming off 2 hits back-to-back of over $250 million for both his first 2 films, which I don't think has ever been done before by a filmmaker. But Nope not breaking $200 million at the global box office was a bit of a surprise for me because I thought it was excellent. We actually had a little meetup. A bunch of fans came out at the theater for that film, and I had a great time.
I think that the marketing was great, and I think they did a great job marketing them in without giving anything away. And it seems like maybe general audiences weren't interested enough to go see it, and maybe the lack of a reveal of what the movie was about maybe prevented a lot of people from going to see it. But I think it worked because they didn't spoil anything at all. The trailers did not spoil a thing until it was out. After the movie was released, you started seeing the alien in like quick trailers and on TV and stuff. But before the movie's released, like they didn't give anything away, which was great.
What do you think, obviously there's no information about it, his 4th film will be like? Are you expecting, obviously he's done Alien, he's done this sort of experimentation of people, he's done a transfer of souls. He's obviously a guy with really big ideas, really high concepts, but taking things that have been done before and changing them and remixing them for his own version. Where do you see the direction of his next film or the rest of his career going for now?
I don't know.
If you had to guess. No, if you had to guess.
I would say what I would like to see him do. I'd like to see him do a body horror film. See what he does with that. Something gory, something super gory.
Yeah, but if you look at his filmography, he clearly is trying to, it looks like, hits a movie in all of his favorite subgenres of horror. Mm-hmm. So he's done slasher, he's done alien horror, he's done psychological experimentation horror, I guess you could say, with Get Out of the surgery. Mm-hmm. Maybe he goes the route of supernatural, maybe vampire, zombie, werewolf, something like that. Maybe he goes the route of a ghost story. I think that could be pretty cool to see him tackle ghosts, which is also connected to supernatural. Maybe a haunting, exorcism. I think it's...
he hasn't gone anywhere near supernatural. It's a good guess.
He's always gone sort of, there are practical
It's all
reasons
real.
behind everything that's happening.
Yeah.
But I think when I look at his career, it seems like he's trying to hit every subgenre in a lot of ways.
I just think that he's going to be interested in making large-scale movies.
I hope so.
And so I think that whatever he does, it's going to be big. Because I think that's what he's gearing himself to doing. He's getting bigger and bigger with each film.
Yeah, and he's blending his genres. You know, the thing with what I like so much about Nope is obviously the massive scale of it, huge production, great filmmaking, stellar cinematography and production design. But he's blending so many genres. He's blending horror. He's blending sci-fi. He's got this neo-Western. It's a movie that also explores filmmaking, which is really cool. You know, we're on movie sets. We're on green screen sets. But at the end of the day, it's really just a horror Western, which I think is a lot of fun with the science fiction elements. And I think that and it's even comedy at times. You know, he's blending so much into Nope, which for me, I think it's probably why it's my favorite of his movies. Even though I think Get Out is hands down his best, most rewatchable, and that might be a movie that'll be tough to ever top in his career because it's so perfect. Like you said, one of the best of the last 20 years. But I like Nope so much because it blends so many genres, so many aesthetics, and obviously we have great performances. And Keke Palmer is such a amazing character in that film. But I think that's why I like Nope the best, is because it blends so many genres.
Nope's his best made movie by far, and he's really shown himself to be extremely capable. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to frame. He knows how to block, and he knows how to visually tell the story, which is really, I mean, even successful directors don't quite nail that, but he knows what he's doing with the camera, and I just hope that he keeps surprising audiences, and I just love what he does. I think he's gonna. I'm sure he'll make plenty of horror movies, but I'm sure he'll do other kinds of genres eventually.
Yeah. Do you ever see Jordan Peele as the kind of filmmaker to do a franchise or an IP that's well known?
I would say
not necessarily a superhero movie, but maybe even something that people know about.
I think every filmmaker, or most filmmakers, would be interested in a franchise of a certain kind, to their own tastes, because franchises allow you to work with the big budgets and huge scale, and working with the greatest craftsmen and women and artists the industry has to offer, as well as the greatest actors you can choose from. So there's an embarrassment of riches to use as your sandbox with large-scale filmmaking that I think is enticing to any kind of filmmaker, except for like a small handful. I definitely see him doing something that's more of even just like a dark comedy or just straight science fiction without any horror elements to it.
Yeah, because he sort of became the face for the Twilight Zone, for the revamp of that show. So I can see that too. And I think that as long as he keeps collaborating with Daniel Kaluuya, he's just going to make so many great movies, because they're sort of the new Scorsese De Niro in a lot of ways. And I think that they work so well together, and they're just always on the same page, it looks like. But I'm really excited about the future of Jordan Peele's career, because I've loved it so much so far.
Yeah, I wonder what the fourth film will be. There's a fake poster that people put on Letterboxd for it.
It's like creepy hand, right?
It's creepy hand, but that's just a fan-made thing.
Yeah,
nobody knows anything about it.
Yeah, it should be like that. We shouldn't know anything about it.
I don't want to know anything.
I don't want to know either.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
But I would. I'd be curious to see him tackle the supernatural.
I think Supernatural's a good idea because he hasn't gone anywhere near it yet. Mm-hmm. All of his stuff has been practical and logical.
Like, give me zombies or something. That'd be cool. Jordan Peele zombie movie. That'd be fucking rad.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's cool is when a filmmaker is well liked, and when they prove themselves as capable, everyone's like, oh, I wonder what a zombie Jordan Peele movie would look like. It's that he's reached that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that I would love to see him do something like 80s horror vibe.
Body horror,
crazy, insane, really go nuts. That'd be really cool to see his version of that.
That would be cool.
That kind of tone.
I agree. All right, well, I think that just about wraps our...
Maybe he'll reinvent Freddy Krueger.
Maybe he'll reinvent Freddy Krueger with Monkey Paw Productions, his production company.
New franchise reboot.
Yeah, well, I think that's about it we got right now. Yeah.
Jordan's
awesome.
He's the man.
His movies are fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Again, become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You know the deal. You know how to find us. Do all the things that can support us, because the more you support us, the better we can get. And the bigger we can get, and the more opportunities we'll get, like interviewing Todd Phillips. Maybe one day we'll get to interview Jordan Peele for his next movie, which would be super cool. But we can only do that if y'all share us and keep supporting, which y'all have been doing. So thanks so much to everyone. Take care.
See you next time.